So I jumped in, I'm like, this is a part of our order. Good afternoon. This is a hearing of the Chatham Conservation Commission being held on October 9th, 2024, in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Chatham Wetlands Protection Bylaw and Regulations. My name is Karen Latin and I serve as the chair. Today's hearing is being broadcast live on Xfinity Channels 1072 and is being recorded for the on-demand archives available on the town's website. It's being conducted in person, by phone, and by video conference. The agenda, instructions on how to attend, and copies of the documents for review are posted on the town's website. To all participants, whether attending by phone or online, please remain muted unless you've been recognized by the chair. When recognized, please identify yourself for the record. If you're attending by phone, you can mute and unmute by using *6.
We've lost Teams.
If you are online and you are not a commissioner, please keep your camera turned off unless you have been recognized.
Oh, there it is. Okay, we're back.
Indicate that you wish to speak by using the raise hand feature. So that we have a record of a quorum, I will now ask each commissioner to indicate their presence. Vice Chair Elise Gordon.
Present.
Janet Williams.
Present.
Cheryl Meservey.
Present.
Eric Hilbert.
Present.
Paul Johnson.
Present.
Bob Delvecchio.
Present.
And I'm here. We have established we have a quorum. Before we begin the agenda, are there any announcements for any requests for continuances today, Catherine?
Yes, the following have requested a continuance. A request to amend an order of conditions at 1070 Orleans Road. The applicant has requested a continuance till November 6, 2024.
Great, thank you. At this point, Catherine Ricks, Chatham's Assistant Conservation Agent, will now lead us through the agenda. Go ahead, Catherine.
Okay, we start with the request for orders of conditions. The following is a request for an order of conditions at 102 Cedar Street, map 13C, parcel 40-10, for Matthew and Susan Botine, Mass DEP SE number 103701, proposed shoreline stabilization.
Thank you. Is there any...
Good afternoon.
Oh, good. Yes?
I'm here. I wouldn't
Okay,
miss it
go
for the
ahead.
world. For the record, Jen Crawford, Crawford Land Management. Crystal had sent out the draft order of conditions. I don't believe, if I remember correctly, there were no changes that you wanted us to necessarily make to our plan, other than, I believe, a few additional notes, which we did. One of those notes was for the restoration plantings on the coastal bank that are currently there. So we did take a look at that area, and we did make a note on our plan that if we weren't able to maneuver around them, they would either be simply, the plants that are there would either be simply moved or they would be replaced in kind. There were just a few of them.
Right, and we did note that in the order.
Yep, I saw that. Yep,
Okay.
I did review the draft order. In addition to that, I believe that we discussed the two other orders of conditions and that you wanted to receive requests for certificates on those, which we did submit to you. And I think those are listed later on your agenda.
They are.
Yes, one of the commissioners had mentioned some things on site that needed to be cleaned up. That was done to the best of my knowledge. And I think we resubmitted some photos of those areas as well. I don't believe that there was anything else that you had asked of us. I did review the order of conditions, and if it's appropriate to speak about the draft order of conditions, I had one question. Otherwise, I'm good.
Sure, if you would address any questions you have on that, that would be terrific.
Sure. It was just number 6 on page 11F. It's where you are requesting an annual survey of the coastal beach area by a Mass registered engineer.
I took that
And
out.
I am.
All right, I thought I took that out. I'm sorry. Because
Oh, that's okay.
I think we could take it out because there is another condition that says photos will be provided documenting the work area before work has begun and after the work has been completed. So I think that that will cover, and that's what we had discussed with you. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Great.
Because I was just gonna ask a little bit more, more about it, but if that's gonna come out, then I am
Yes.
good. That was the only thing that that's the only thing that I had within the draft order that I wanted to ask about, so.
Great, and then we did modify it this morning, well, Janet did. She caught that rather than it saying mitigation, we've changed it to restoration because there is technically no mitigation needed since there's no.
Correct.
So that's the only thing that changed since you received that order yesterday.
Thank you for making me aware of that. I appreciate that catch.
Okay, then, does anybody else have anything to add or to this order or change? Bob?
I have something on finding number 3.
Sure.
The sentence where it says, "The path will be approximately 6 feet wide over existing lawn and existing restoration area." And it should, and then
Yeah.
maybe insert "and the coastal bank."
Sure. Got it.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, I just wanted to make sure we had before and after pictures of the salt marsh. Do the special conditions cover that?
Yes, that's what we were just discussing. We said before and after the work has been done that there will be photos provided.
Number 9 or 8.
And they already, it already says temporary.
Good enough, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? All right, then I guess we're ready to close this and approve the order.
I move that we close the hearing on 102 Cedar Street and approve the order of conditions as written.
Second.
Paul?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Cheryl? Aye. And I say aye. So that's approved. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you. Do you guys want me to stick around until you get to the certificates of compliance?
Well, it's up to you. Let me put it that way. I haven't heard that there are any issues with them, but in case there are, you might want to be on.
The debris has been
All
removed.
righty.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. I'll be here.
Oh, thanks. Okay, Catherine.
Okay, the following is a request to amend an order of conditions at 105 Woodcarver Knoll, map 11D, parcel F11, for William and Perry Stopera, Mass DEP SE number 10-3598, construction of a window well, cantilevered fireplace, and covered entry. Amendment is to relocate the front walkway, add fence around the window well, remove the driveway pavement, and replace with pervious material. Phase 1.
David Clark on behalf of the Stoperas. So Mr. Stopera was in the office, your office, several months ago now, almost a year ago, I think, and was talking about redoing his driveway. And so he was advised to amend the order of conditions. So while he was at it, he added a few more things to the project. So basically, what he wants to do is, he was thinking about repaving the driveway, and then he got some estimates, and he felt that the best thing to do would be to remove all the asphalt and replace it with gravel. So that's one part of the amendment. Second, in doing his mitigation plantings, he'd like to go a little further. He'd like to remove all the foundation plantings on the front of the house and replace it with natives, and he doesn't like the way the front walk is, so he wants to move it closer to the house. So those are the 3 changes from what was approved. No, I don't think it increases any of the site coverages, and all the activity is within formal landscaping or hardscape portions of the property, so there's no encroachment into naturalized areas.
So this is phase one.
Yep.
It doesn't mention that the foundation plantings are being removed, and so that probably should be noted.
It is on the plan. Yeah, right beside the site coverage chart from the 50 to 100, to the right of that, existing foundation plantings to be removed and
okay.
replanted.
So it just says "and replanted."
Yeah, we'll have a planting list for you for the
Okay.
forum.
And then the pathway, there's no detail as to what materials are being used. The wall around the window well, I'm
That
not
was
sure
part
why.
of, that was part of the original application, so we're not changing it. That's, that portion of the project's
But I
already done.
thought it says you want, well, a fence around the window well.
That was part of the original application, too.
But that says add, the amended says add a fence around the window well.
Okay,
So
all right.
if you're
Sorry.
not
No,
doing,
I stand corrected.
no, it's fine, I'm just reading it right
Yep.
off of what, the only thing, detail we got. All right, so, and we need to know what materials are being used, I said for the walkway, and what did you say the driveway's going to be?
It's
Gravel?
either gravel or shell or a combination of both.
Okay. So probably that should be written somewhere that you're using gravel or shell. Does anybody else have any questions at this point?
I have a curiosity question. The fence around the well, the window well. I don't think I've ever seen that. You
I
don't know
will-
why?
I don't know why.
Okay.
So someone doesn't fall in.
Oh, that's,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's why I was saying, and I thought you just said that they weren't doing that, so,
I don't know.
was in the
It's on the
original.
plan, I just,
okay,
was
that
in the
wasn't
original
what I was
plan.
focusing on when,
yeah,
I was just curious. I don't think I've ever seen that.
no. So, I mean, this is phase one. So there are a few things we'd need before you came back for phase two. Anybody else have anything? Yeah, planting list, materials, that's about it. Some detail. It's
Yep.
really what it comes down to.
yep.
So I guess we can have
I do have one question.
okay, great, Bob.
There's a rinse station next to the house and within the driveway, David. Is that are you planning on leaving that there? or-
Yeah, whatever's there, yeah, we're not changing any of that.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. Anybody else? All right, then we can have a motion to approve phase one.
I move that we approve Phase 1 for 105 Wood Carver, Noel.
Second.
Okay, Paul?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Cheryl? Aye. And I say
Unknown
aye.
participant is now exiting.
Who? Huh? Interesting.
Okay? Thank you.
Never had that happen. Yeah, goodbye. Okay, Catherine, the next one.
Okay, we have a request to amend an order of conditions at 1070 Orleans Road, map 10K, parcel 23-82, for John and Mary Boyle, Mass DEP SE number 10-3611, landscaping, construction of a boardwalk, phase 1, addition of fiber rolls. The applicant has requested a continuance till November 6, 2024.
Okay, then we're ready for a motion.
I move that we continue 1070 Orleans Road to November 6th, 2024.
Second.
Paul?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay, we're moving right along. All right, Catherine.
Okay, moving on to the notice of intent. We have a notice of intent at 500 Shore Road, map 16G, parcel 3D-A5 for Heather Butler, Mass DEP SC number 10-3681, construction of beach access stairs within the pedestrian access easement located at 500 Shore Road.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Christopher Senni. I'm an attorney in Brewster, and I represent Heather Butler, the applicant. There have been, I think, 3 sessions of this public hearing earlier. My associate, TJ Hurry, appeared in front of you as the counsel for Ms. Butler, but he has left my law practice, and I'm stepping in for him and finishing presenting the application to the
Okay.
board. But I have watched those videotapes. I understand the conversation that has taken place. I know that initially there were some questions about whether my client had any standing to pursue this order of conditions because she is an easement holder, not the owner of the property at 500 Shore Road. And this has been reviewed by town council, and I think even the DEP has written into the commission, so.
Right, we've gotten past that
Past
issue.
that, okay. And so I'm joined today by our engineer, Don Bracken, who's here virtually, and also our wetland specialist, Cameron Larson. And I know you probably want to go right into the testimony they have about the protecting the environment and mitigation plantings. But there was one issue that came up in the third of the 3 hearings I watched, and that was about the fences around the pool.
Yes.
And I didn't know if you would like me to address that, because it seemed to be a question that was left open. And there was even some concern that pool safety is something that you wanted to be satisfied with. So I could take no more than 3 minutes.
That's fine.
And address the fence issue if you'd like.
That would be great.
Crystal said that she would be able to put up a few slides for me that show the fences. Is Crystal able to do that?
We'll see.
I put them in the commission folder for Teams, where you usually get
Okay.
all the information. I don't know if somebody can,
So
that
let's
up.
see. What did you call it? Was it
it's 485 Shore Road,
485, 500?
fence slides, and 500. There's 2 different ones.
Oh, I'm not, what teams did you, date did you put it in? We see 500 Shore Road, access ease beach steps, an abutter stairs letter, confirmation of something. Continuance. Oh, yes.
There's 2 of those.
And then a proposed restoration. That's all I'm seeing.
Maybe it's in the 1023 folder, because I added a lot of stuff in there
Okay,
today.
let me look.
Sorry.
Nope, that's fine. I'm looking.
I know it's on my town government.
Oh, I'm not in my town gov. It's not in 1023 either. So is anybody on my town? I am. Thank you, because I'm not on that one.
Sorry.
Nope,
I
it's
thought I
fine.
emailed them to you and Elise.
I'm on, hold on one second, I'm on the My Town Gov.
Oh, great.
I'll pull it up.
Catherine's going to do it. Thank you, Catherine.
Yep.
If this does fail, I do have handouts that we could use.
I-
Oh, here we go. That's good.
Okay, now I got to get back into Teams.
Does that work?
Yep, we're seeing it. Can you make it a little bigger?
That's what I'm,
Of course not. Probably not, okay.
Is that better? Try,
Oh,
I don't know if it
that's-
comes
I
out.
think that's pretty much what we also happen to have. That looks very similar to the proposed restoration plan, but that's, okay,
It's the same area,
okay.
but I've had some arrows put here just to demonstrate where the fencing
Okay.
is. What you see in this slide is the Brereton's house at 500 Shore Road and their pool and the patio around the pool. And that red arrow shows the route that is in the deeds. It's the 10 feet most southern along the entire
Right.
boundary of the property. And that's our plan is to use that easement. But if we could go to the other slide that shows some jogs. There we go. So this is what's happening today. What happens today is that our clients are confronted by a fence that goes across the 10-foot easement, and they need to circumvent to the left, go through a gate, and then come back to the easement and go along further within the easement. And then there's another blockage of a fence. They have to circumvent again and come back to the easement. And when they are between those two fences, they are actually in the pool area. There is no further fence that
Right.
keeps them from the pool. And we think this is not a good solution. We think, we have asked the Breretons, could we put gates in your fence within our easement so we can just have a straight shot, and they've refused to do that. So if we go further, you can see the actual plan we've proposed. There we go. So this is a close-up of the plan you have in front of you. This was prepared by Don Bracken. And what we're proposing is that our 4 families who have easement rights stay within the 10-foot easement. When they come to where the first gate is, a section would be removed, and they would be able to proceed directly. And then when they come to the second current blockage, there's a section that would be removed, and so we can stay within the 10 feet. And we're proposing at our cost to build a fence that connects the 2 existing fences, so that our use of our easement is not proximate to the pool. It's not open to the pool. It remains within the 10 feet along the southern boundary. And pool safety is actually enhanced here because we don't open a single gate or close a gate. And I remember a question from the third hearing, the videotape, where one member of the commission said, if there's any gates, can you make sure they're self-closing? And I think that demonstrates an interest in making sure that this is done properly. Now, I submitted a letter to the town, which I believe is probably in your packet. It's dated September 24th, in which I promise that my clients will not use self-help. They will not touch the sections of fence that are within the easement without either the permission of the Breretons or an order from the court. So if the commission were to approve this order of conditions, it would not lead to any action on the part of my clients to disrupt anyone else's property. And that's a commitment that if you wanted to make that a condition of the order of conditions, you certainly can. But we think we've addressed this in the most responsible way, both from pool safety and in terms of the maximum privacy for the Breretons and the least disruption to their use of their property by keeping us along the southern border. So that's all I had on the fencing. If you have any questions about it, we are asking you to approve this plan, which shows, it has notes here, removal of section of fencing. So we are proposing to remove someone else's fencing, but again, we will not do that unless we have either their permission or a court order.
And the fencing that you're proposing to put in, what is that fencing? There's no detail as to what it is.
There isn't. I would ask Don to comment on that. This
Okay.
could be of equivalent quality and style. This is a PVC fence that
Right.
exists. It's 6 feet tall and it's very sturdy. We could match that so that it's well integrated. But Don would probably be better to speak to what would the
That's
actual
fine.
fence be made of.
Okay.
I would assume that it would match the existing fence.
Don, could you
Or
just
the-
please identify yourself just for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry. Don Bracken, professional engineer and surveyor from Bracken Engineering. I would assume that it would match the existing fence. We all know that the fence would have to meet any of the building code requirements for pool safety. So I think right now, because there really hasn't been, much agreement or dialogue about the fence, that would be probably worked out with the owners at some point.
Okay. Thank you. Do you have anything else you want to add at this time?
Was
No,
it-
not me, no.
Okay. Is there anyone else of your representatives that wants to speak at this point before we open it to questions from the commissioners?
We do have Cameron Larson to speak about the restoration plan, and I think it's important for him to address with the
That's
commission
fine.
what plantings will come out and how will we mitigate those. So
Right.
if Cameron's here.
Okay. Cameron, go ahead.
Yep, I'm here, Chris. This is Cameron Larson, wetland scientist from Environmental Consulting and Restoration. So what we did, we developed a restoration plan with the intent to restore the 10-foot wide easement following the installation of this new stairway. We've designed the restoration plan to include a mix of native shrubs and native grasses. Once with the 3-foot wide stairway in place, there'll be about 3.5 feet or so on either side of the easement, or on either side of the stairway within the easement that'll be restored. So we're using a total of 19 native shrubs. Those will be spaced 10 feet on center, and then amongst those shrubs, we'll be planting clusters of native grasses. There'll be 100 total native grass plugs that'll be installed. And then following the installation of those plants, any remaining exposed soils on the bank will be hand seeded with a salt-tolerant seed mix. We've spec'd out a native seed mix provided by New England Wetland Plants. They're, I'm sure you've heard of them. They're a very reputable supplier of native seed mixes. Of course, erosion controls will be utilized. Those will be installed prior to any of this work. Now, the work that I've described, it will encompass the upper half of the bank. The lower half of the bank that has experienced, significant erosion was previously permitted to be planted with beach grass. That was a plan that was designed by Wilkinson Ecological. Based on our observations at the site, that seems to be holding up well. Some of this new proposed stairway will impact that area. So what we're proposing is to mimic that same beach grass planting to restore any of the disturbed areas on that lower half of the bank following construction. We think that this is an adequate plan. It's going to provide some diversity to the area. It's going to mimic the species that are on site. We did include some invasive management. There's not a whole lot of invasive plants on this within this easement, but we did identify some honeysuckle at the very upper portion of the bank within the easement. So we're proposing to remove that, and that area will also be restored as part of this plan. And then following completion, we'll certainly provide a detailed completion report to the commission, and then abide by any annual monitoring requirements through the life of the permit that the commission may require. With that, I'd be happy to address any questions regarding that restoration plan the commission may have.
Okay, thank you. Did we ever receive a coverage table for this? I can't seem to find it. That would be directed at you, Mr. Bracken.
Yes, the areas are pointed out in the notes, under stair notes. Number 1, total beach stair area, and then also describes coastal bank buffer, coastal bank itself, coastal beach, and number 2 breaks down the area within the land subject to coastal storm flowage.
So normally, we get something that says what is being disturbed within the NDZ and the outer aura, and So
This one?
I don't see how that, because that square footage determines this, and we need to know the square footage of all your mitigation, so that we can be sure that the mitigation is meeting the 2-to-1
Okay, thank
for NDZ and Coastal Bank, and the 1-to-1 for the outer aura.
Well, I think we did provide the area of the stairway in its entirety, and I think previous questions in the beginning of the meetings where there really is no place to provide any 2-to-1 or additional mitigation beyond
Right.
the footprint of the structure.
Yeah,
And
but-
then the conversation also led to off-site mitigation, which we indicated that we were open to. So
Right, but
I
we
think all the
can't,
numbers are there. Yeah.
but we can't we need our notices of intent have a coverage table that's usually filled out. And it has, what exists versus what's proposed, and so you know what the change is, and then it says how much then you say, okay, if it's 100 in the NDZ, you need 200 square feet of mitigation. And we need that. We can't write the order without it. So that's why I'm asking. And then,
I guess I'm a little confused too. Obviously, I'm not in front of this commission regularly, but, pretty sure that we thought we followed the requirements pretty carefully. And again, we give the total beach stair area 459 square feet. So
Right.
if it's we are mitigating everything that's going to be disturbed.
right.
So I think it's pretty clear. So if the 2-to-1 ratio is required, then, then we would need somewhere around 1,000 square feet. And if we had to do that off-site, we could.
Okay, but we need the coverage table. That's really where we start. And I don't know if anybody else can figure this out, but from what you've provided, it's not obvious to me. And then, in order to do this, you have to ask for a variance, in which case we need a variance letter, and it provides an alternatives analysis within that letter. And if you need a sample of the letter, our office, Conservation Office, has that they can provide to you. But we need that. I'm not saying your mitigation is an issue. I think you've tried hard to do something within this limited area. It's just, we need a coverage table. It's an automatic part of our order. It's, it's what we base everything off of.
Yep, sure.
So at this point, I'll let others chime in, because I think I've done enough. Anybody?
Well, I'll echo on the coverage table. We could go in and look at your plan and try to do the math appropriately, but that's not really what our role should be.
That's not our job.
That's something that you need to do so that you're sure that you're representing to us exactly what's going to be done, and then we can put everything together. So I echo Karen's point. We need a coverage table that's done by the expert on the ground, so to speak.
Anybody else?
Yeah, personally, once you get this small matter done, this is already the third time, you have a legal access, and I'm not care about. So finish this little matter up, and hopefully we can move this along.
No. Janet?
Well, I agree, but I think finishing this little matter up is actually quite complex. You've got, let's say, because I did calculate and got 460 square feet of coverage, so, whatever, 900, almost 1,000 square feet of mitigation, which simply, A, isn't available in this easement area, and B, it's important to remember the difference between mitigation area and tree replacement. So I look at your plan, and I'm counting, they're not identified by species or size, but those yellow icons are showing me that 11 trees are needing to be removed. So in addition to mitigation, we also have tree replacement requirements. And they're triggered by the size of the tree that's being removed. So you need 1,000 square feet of mitigation plus at least 11 trees, again, nowhere to put them. So I think we need to think of some numbers for what the costs could be, and that's a possibility. What you have proposed for mitigation looks good on paper, but I don't think I personally of the property are. And you're proposing all of these shrubs, and my concern immediately is you're not going to be able to irrigate those shrubs when you put them in. They're not going to allow irrigatus cove. You know, they could oppose the planting of the mitigation plants, and I would guess that they would do that, and I would guess that they would oppose installation of any kind of irrigation. So this proposal had just been to plant beach grass in and around the stairway, which strikes me as probably a better idea, given that it doesn't need the kind of care that all of these lovely native shrubs are going to need. I'm just putting that out there as maybe that is an easier thing to do, but again, you're going to need to get, same as before, we're not going to weigh in on your legal rights to do anything. It's up to you to get permission, and if you don't, then I don't know where that leaves us, with the possibility of looking at off-site mitigation and/or a donation to the tree replacement fund to mitigate for the tree loss.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Because obviously you can't plant trees. Another question I have is, when this is taking place, where is the work being done before its installation? Because obviously you can't do it on that property because it's not, you only have 10 feet. And so we need some detail as to the protocol for the work to be done. You know, that's sort of, it's something we require, but obviously there are quite a few steps before we get to the work protocol. But just so you're aware. And
Right.
Anybody else? Bob?
I have a question for the restoration specialist. What is going to be planted under the stairs?
All right, this is Cameron Larson again from ECR. I'm just writing down some notes here as we're talking. What's going to be planted under the stairs? So what we've called out is where there's adequate access under the stairs, you know, if there's a clearing of 2 or 3 feet under the stairs, we could include some additional shrub plantings, but the plugs of grass will likely be planted under the stairs where there's access, or the seed mix that's being proposed will be utilized under the stairs to stabilize that area.
Just as long as there's enough light, correct?
Yeah, correct, yep.
And they're shade
happy to
tolerant
address-
enough?
Yeah, yep, and with, you know, removing some of those trees, we're gonna, you know, things will open up a little bit, so all of these are native species, they're all suitable for this area. They can tolerate, you know, a variety of conditions. I'm happy to address any questions you have right now, but I've also, as I've been taking some notes, listening to this stuff, I can address some of the other concerns that have come up regarding the restoration. That's where you'd like me to go.
Okay, thank you.
The question I had, if you plant under the stairs, wouldn't that be attributed to the mitigation square footage?
Yes, it would.
And you know, if I may, you know, kind of put the square footage and mitigation in everybody's kind of head a little differently. So we have a 10-foot wide linear easement, you know, that runs straight down to the beach. So this stairway is 3 feet wide. So that leaves us with 7 feet more of easement, which we're proposing to restore once this is all done. So if we're looking at this as, you know, restoration or mitigation, I'm not sure which plan exactly we're looking at here, but there is a detail that does show the size and species. It's a mix of pitch pine, scrub oak, and even some black cherry in there. They only range from about 4 inches to 6 inches in diameter. All the trees in this environment are typically stunted like that. It's a harsh environment on the bank, so these trees come and go. Obviously, we're not going to be proposing any trees, within the easement as part of this project, but I would expect, as Dawn mentioned, beach grass. So all these plantings have been, specifically chosen for these areas. We reviewed this site very closely, so I wouldn't recommend any changes to the species at this
So,
point.
excuse me, so are you taking some trees out or not? The way you sounded like.
Yes, yep.
Okay.
We certainly are. So the plan indicates that 11 trees will be removed. It's a variety of pitch pine, black cherry, and scrub oak, ranging from 4 inches in diameter to 6 inches in diameter. I don't think any of the trees really exceed, 20 feet in height at max, nor do, that's pretty typical of this coastal bank environment. So it's not major trees. We are proposing to leave the stumps in the ground to minimize any disturbance to the earth and the bank. But trees will be required to be removed within the easement. But I will point out, this upper part of the bank is littered with quite a bit of trees. So, looking at cumulative impacts to this bank, it's minimal.
There's a couple of trees you might get away with not taking out.
You're right. There's a tree. There's
So
a
you might
5-inch
wanna consider
pine
it.
on the. Yeah, I absolutely think we will. I think we'll minimize any. We'll definitely minimize the removal if we can get away with, pruning them up, limiting them up a
saves you
little
money.
bit, and leaving them. Then they'll stay. I agree. I do think. I think this was kind of a proposal that kind of errs on the side of, hey, we may need to remove these. But you're absolutely right.
But we will need to know what is being removed. So if you're not removing 11, that would affect how many trees you need to replace. So it
I think we'll
behooves you to figure that out.
I think we'll stick with the proposal to remove 11. Chances are we're
Okay.
going to have to remove 11, and I think that's what we'll provide mitigation for.
Okay, I have another question about your plan. You have a note, it says areas beneath the PR staircase shall be planted. See note 10. I only see 8 notes, so I don't
That
know
note
what
is
note
from-
10 says.
That note is from the Bracken plan. We
Oh.
have to look at
Oh,
the
okay.
exact Bracken plan
So
on that.
if-
So
You might want to state that it's note 10 on the Bracken plan, just because otherwise, and I've seen note 10. Also, for everyone, all of you, I believe you're proposing the stairs to be 40 inches, correct? 3 feet, 4 inches wide?
I'll leave that to
Oh.
Dawn. Do you have an
Yeah.
exact answer on that?
Or is it
Yeah, I have
three,
my,
is it 3.4 feet? Well, how
Yeah.
wide are they going to be?
yeah, so the stairway itself, the decking itself is 3.4 feet wide.
Which is,
From outside post to outside post is 4 feet wide. And we have 2 sets of notes on the plan. There's stairway notes and then there's general notes on the right. So that's
Right.
where it says C note 10.
Yes.
Those are the general notes, just so
Okay.
there's no confusion.
so we allow stairs at a width of 36
I
inches.
don't recall seeing that. I know that this width is the same width that was already approved on the same property, is 4 feet wide. And we have 2 sets of notes on the plan. There's stairway notes and then there's general notes on the right. So that's
Right.
where it says C note 10.
Yes.
Those are the general notes, just so
Okay.
there's no confusion.
So
I
just,
don't recall seeing that. I know that this width is the same width that was already approved on the same property. And I don't recall seeing any regulation on
unfortunately,
36 inches, but we can adjust it to the 36 inches if
okay,
if needed.
that would
We
be
just
great because
felt-
it's a, thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, I just want to repeat myself on some of these I mean, there's nothing wrong with going on a boardwalk on a hot day and have a little canopy over for some shade when you're walking.
Thanks, Eric. Anybody else? Well, so, there are quite a few things.
There are. Average table with calculations. I need to get a variance letter, and you offered us a sample. You need to know more about our construction approach, hand tools only, and taking them in and out as we build.
And where the work,
Our easement. In terms of plantings, I think this was a great dialogue, and Cameron and Don have heard you talk about the trees that are being removed. I've heard the comment about maybe you don't need 11 to be removed, perhaps fewer, and we really do need to talk about replacement at the appropriate ratio. We can't do all that on site, so I'm hoping we can work with the commission with either a
Right.
contribution to a fund or plantings off-site. And in terms of the non-tree vegetation, we need better information for you about what's coming out and what's going in. I noted the comment about the beach grass. Irrigation is an issue. I can't tell you as a lawyer whether an easement right to access Aunt Lydia's Cove comes with the right to, I researched that, I'm not sure. An easement comes with the rights, all rights that are necessary to fulfill the purpose of the easement, but I'm not sure if irrigation is included. So, and the width of the structure, I'm not sure where that conversation was left.
I think we've said 36 inches.
36 inches? Okay. And Don said that we could accommodate that. Okay.
Yes.
Those are my notes, and I think
And
it's
with
good.
the variance, you will have to provide an alternatives analysis. It's a part of the variance letter, just so you're aware ahead of time.
Okay.
You can't build it anywhere else.
Yeah. So,
Can I just suggest, on the mitigation plantings and the irrigation issue, rather than getting into a lot of legal research about, although you may down the road when time comes, to think about, the reason that I'm hesitating about this is that if you have an order of condition that requires specific mitigation in a specific area, and it becomes impossible to do that, what happens if the proposed mitigation, if you cannot get approval to be able to install and care for those plants, what would be your backup position?
Yep.
Bucket brigade.
I appreciate that, because the value of what we're doing right now is very high for my clients, because if we can talk through how we are to satisfy the commission, but also stay within the limited jurisdiction that we have and the rights that we have. And I know these conversations have happened. I've been out on the site where we've talked the way you
Correct.
want to receive it. And
said all of that. When would you like to? And December 11th.
I'm going to say the 13th, but look over at my client.
If we could have a motion, please.
I move that we continue 500 Shore Road to November 13th, 2024.
Second.
Okay, Paul?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And Cheryl?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Catherine, the next one.
Okay, notice of intent at 73 Kent Road, map 12J, parcel G4 for Jessica Guo and Philip Chu, Massachusetts DEP.
Good afternoon,
are
David
you?
Clark again, Clark Engineering.
And Bill Riley.
The commission had asked for additional construction notes, so I added the note that the float will be reconstructed 8 by 12 to match the licensing plan. Committed will be pressure-treated materials. Bill has filed with zoning board of appeals, I hope.
Yeah, that's correct.
And there was comments about the personal watercraft on the beach or on the stairs. There are kayak racks already bolted to the south side bulk of the bulkhead, south side of the stairs. We can simply add a few more racks bolted to the bulkhead on the north side of the stairs. That should take care of that problem.
That will have to be on the plan.
It is on the
It
plan.
is?
Yeah.
Where, I'm not, oh, yes, additional to be attached to the bulkhead. Sorry, I was looking at the lower part,
Oh.
not the upper. Any questions, comments?
Whether we could,
The ZBA, which won't be till
November,
November. We can get you details on that.
November.
See that people are putting like a little one-rail fence up, kind of like what they used to tie the horses to, but not as high. And then they would take the front of, because lifting a rowboat, putting it on a rack is going to be up a little bit.
Oh, that's for yeah, dinghies. I
Yeah.
don't think we need a dinghy rack
Oh, you don't
here.
have dinghies there?
These are paddle boards
Oh,
and
okay.
kayaks that Bob was referring to. But yes, that's, I can't think of anything else.
Anybody else? Janet, are you thinking, or? The float and everything.
Yes. The measurement for mean high water is something that the zoning department asked for. And there's really no way to compare that to 1981, when the dock was first permitted. We've had a datum change since then, and I think at least 4 changes in mean high water based upon the Aunt Lydia's Cove tidal station. And the biggest change to the Pleasant Bay estuary is the 1987 break in North Beach. So when this was permitted in 1981, Pleasant Bay was probably at its all-time high as far as tidal restriction. So you had a very limited tidal range in 1981 compared to 2007 was when it was probably at its highest tidal range when the north break occurred.
Thank you. Anybody have anything?
do we have all the letters in? From the
Yeah,
various,
there was no issue, yes, Crystal received the letter from Shellfish saying there are no issues. And Ted as well said there are no issues, so I think we're okay with that. I don't physically have the letter, but they've been received. Thanks for asking. I forgot to mention that. So, 7th of November, so, which would mean we could have the order for the 13th of November, which
Okay.
is right after.
Yep.
2024 for an order of conditions.
Second?
Okay, Paul.
Aye.
Janet.
Aye.
Elise.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
Bob. Any major issues with ZBA?
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, Catherine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Notice of intent at 4 Harborview Road, C10-3699, invasive plant species control and native plant restoration on and adjacent to a coastal bank.
How are you?
Good afternoon, Mike Tanis, Blue Flax Design. The property at 4 Harborview Road sits on the upland above Harding's Beach to the southwest. To the southeast are salt marshes that are flooded and drained by Oyster River. Resource areas on site include land subject to coastal storm flowage, AE, elevation habitat that transitions from dune at the bottom to a juniper woodland near the top where you start to see eastern red cedars, oaks, bayberry, black cherry, beach plum, more shrubs and trees. On the top of the coastal bank, trees have been cut down or repeatedly pruned to maintain a view. Mostly oak trees. Virtually all of these are now suffering from fungal disease and in poor health. These topped oak trees have also grown this dense upper canopy, and it mixes with invasive shrubs to form this dense thicket. Invasives are concentrated near the top of the coastal bank and in the buffer zone, primarily where this pruning occurred. Bittersweet, shrub and vine honeysuckle, and border privet were found on site. So the project's main goal is to restore 6,335 square feet on the coastal bank and within the no disturb zone. All scrub oaks found will remain and be allowed to grow to their full height. 3 damaged and diseased oaks flagged in red on the coast will be pruned, and there's a lot of fungal disease and just, they don't look great. 11 oaks that are heavily damaged in the no disturb zone will be removed. The stumps will be flush cut with the ground, treated with systemic herbicide, and left in ground to rot in place. Invasive shrubs will be cut and treated in the same way. After removing the invasive shrubs and vines, native vegetation will be assessed for health and may be flush cut and allowed to regenerate or be pruned to allow them to grow in a healthier form. Follow-up treatments for the next 3 to 5 growing years, 3 to 5 growing seasons will be necessary to control returning invasives. After we've reached roughly 80% control of invasives, and some butterfly milkweed will be planted in bare spots to augment the healthy ground cover that already exists.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Of course.
Okay, I'm going to open it to other people first.
I have a question. When we last talked about adding the cedars in there, 3 5-gallon cedars, what's the height on those?
3 to 4 feet,
What's the height on a 1-gallon cedar?
2 feet, 2 to 3. Maybe.
Really?
Maybe.
So the height on a 5-gallon is what? Yeah, I was,
Varies.
you know, I was pretty easy going on this, but I was expecting a little more moxie on, I mean, you know, you're down a hill. How are you gonna find these cedars? I mean, you know, someone's gonna actually step on one. I was expecting, you know, 4 or 5 gallons for these cedars. So that's my thought. I'll pass it on, thanks.
If I can address that, one thing that we find, especially with cedars, is that in these harsh habitats, when we plant them bigger, they don't survive.
Bigger than the 5-gallon?
Yeah, even taller
There
than.
you go, then I'll agree on, why don't we just do all 5 gallons?
Yeah, I mean, it's,
I mean, you know, you're down a hill. I mean, cedar's about the slowest growing things on earth. That's what I'm thinking. And they're supposed to be replacing trees. I mean, you know, 5 gallons is really nothing to talk about. I think that's a pretty good deal.
I would like to pile onto that and say, you've got these smaller cedars that I don't think it drops off and goes down to Harding's Beach on that side, so it's not like it's needed for privacy. Maybe fewer and larger would be better, because we all know that, I mean, they are weeny when they start, but these suckers grow really fast. And they often grow when they're so densely planted to be a huge wall, you know.
up at the,
I guess.
at the house.
Not when they're only, I just, for what it's worth.
Anyone else?
Fewer, bigger is the way to go.
No?
I was expecting to be spread out a little bit too, not just all on one side. I mean,
I think there is the pre-existing view there, and we're trying to manage it in a way that doesn't invite or even tempt people entering the area at all to try to prune in the future, or it's and also
added a few on the lower part of the banking. I mean, it would be 100 years before they would block the view.
Let's see, 16. I mean,
we're almost there, you know, we're about ready to close the deal here. You know?
okay.
Anybody? Bob? Nothing? Elise?
Just that I agree with the tree.
All that's left is that we don't. But otherwise, I think we are ready for a notice of intents.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You said notice.
I'm sorry, an order, not.
Yeah, it's too bad the applicants have to pay for another plan. But I guess you.
So when do you think you could get a new plan to us?
I mean, just increasing the sizes of the trees and spreading them.
reason I'm
Could be
asking
middle,
when
lower.
I mean, tomorrow.
is that I think we can say we'll go to, so that's why I'm asking when you think you could get a plan to us.
Tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not,
So, how soon do you want this order?
I think they're ready
Okay.
right now.
To an order on the 23rd, and if you could get us a new plan as soon as possible, that'd be great.
Of course.
Continue for,
Elise?
aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Cheryl? Read and be prepared that if you have anything that you'd like changed in the order or mod. Okay. Catherine, the next.
Okay, I will open the following 2 certificates of compliance requests at the same time since it is the same location. We have a certificate of compliance at 102 Cedar Street, map 13C, parcel 40-10 for Matthew and Susan Botine, Mass DEP SE number. We have a certificate of compliance at 102 Cedar Street, map 13C, parcel 40-10 for Matthew and Susan Botine, Mass DEP SE number 10-3410. Approved project activities include but are not limited to repair, replace beach access stairs and existing fence, install seasonal kayak rack, and install natural gas line.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? Jen, I think, is still on. If we have any questions for her about both of these orders. Catherine, I think you were out and saw them, and, I mean, I've been there. I didn't see anything that jumped out at me. Did you?
No, it looked good.
Okay, thank
Everything
you.
looked cleaned up.
Anybody else? No reason, sorry. Okay, we can have a motion.
I move that we approve the 2 certificates of compliance for 102 Cedar Street.
Second.
Okay, approved. Thank you. Okay, Catherine or anyone, does anybody have any?
Seen items at this time.
Okay, anybody?
Meeting.
Second.
Paul?
Aye.
Janet? Elise?
Aye.
That's it. Thank you.